I haven't done a roundup list in a while, and the 11/11 sale on AliExpress is coming up. Maybe I should do something for that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Warlock channel. I hope you are all safe and well. And today we're going to be having a look at my 11 choices for the 11/11 sale on AliExpress. As always, before we begin the review, there are a few things I want to make you all aware of. First of all, I have had hands-on experience with 8 of these watches. There are 3 of these watches that I haven't had reviews on myself. I haven't had hands-on with. However, there are plenty of reviews of these brands, and I've bought from the stores in the past as well, so I'm fairly certain that what you're getting are the specs that are being shown on AliExpress. Secondly, I am an affiliate of AliExpress. What that means is that I will get paid a small commission if you use the links listed below to the watches and buy some for yourself. Now, you don't pay any extra for the watches, but what happens is AliExpress gives me a small commission, which I can add to the VW purse, which means I can buy some more watches to review on this channel. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this list, and I'm going to start off with a watch that I bought back at the end of 2021. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to review this watch before I restarted my channel, and so we are going to be having a look at the brand Sugess and one of their chronographs. Now, I bought this watch from the Tourbillon official watch store on AliExpress. There are some other stores which have the links to it, but this is the one that I've bought from and I can attest for. This watch comes in a number of different colorways, and you can also get this in a couple of different sizes as well. So you've got a white dial with black subdials, you've got a sort of beige cream dial with black subdials. That would be my choice. And then you've also got an all black dial as well. I think the all black dial doesn't quite work. I think you would need to have a little bit more color in that one, but you can get this watch in either 38mm or 40mm, and you can also get this one with the gooseneck regulator or without the gooseneck regulator or swan neck regulator, whatever you would call it. As you know, this is powered by the Seagull movement ST19, which is the chronograph movement, which is famous for being in the Seagull 1963. Major specifications on this watch is either a 38mm or a 40mm case. I would opt for the 38mm, but if you've got a slightly larger wrist or you like slightly larger watches, 40mm is absolutely fine. It has a thickness of 13.5mm, and you can have this watch with either sapphire crystal or acrylic crystal. I would always opt for sapphire crystal if possible, but acrylic crystal adds a air of vintage feeling to it as well, and I feel that like acrylic has its plus points, and so does sapphire. This also has 5-bar water resistance as well. When I bought this watch, I bought the version that came with the gooseneck or swan neck regulator, along with a leather band that came on the watch, and then a steel band that came secondary to the watch. Now, from my memory, both of the bands are pretty hit and miss, if I'm honest with you. The leather band was a little stiff, and the steel band didn't quite mesh in. So what I did is I switched it over to a Milanese strap that I had that was 20mm. It's very easy to switch them out, and if I remember correctly, they both had quick release on these straps as well, so it's a bit of a strap monster, and especially on the white dial and on the cream dial, it's very easy to intermix with different straps and get a good and unique look with this watch. Prices for this watch start at £177 and they go up to £195, so just under £200. Equivalent for dollars will be obviously in your links below. Next watch on the list is a Homage watch, and it is a Pagani Design. They are the masters when it comes to AliExpress and cheap watches, and they are looking at the GMT version of their Explorer 2, very specifically the discontinued version, which I like discontinued vintage Homage watches, and this one is paying homage to the Steve McQueen version of the GMT. So as you all know, I am a huge fan of homage watches. In particular, my I guess soft spot when it comes to homages are retro reissues or vintage reissues of watches that are no longer in production, and those are the things that I tend to gravitate to a little more. This watch I feel ticks a lot of boxes. It is based on the Rolex Explorer 2, the Steve McQueen version, although ironically Steve McQueen never actually wore that watch. It was just reported that he liked it. Such is the name of the watch industry, and such is the way that we tend to conduct ourselves. But this watch offers something incredibly unique. By unique, I mean, of course, unique among Pagani Design, because it is a watch that is no longer part of the Rolex back catalogue, or the Rolex current catalogue, not back catalogue. Let's have a look at the specifications for this watch. So first of all, you can get this in a number of different colorways. You've got a black and gilt dial with like a faux patina for the indices. You've got a white dial, which sort of harks the version of the Explorer 2 that you get today, just slightly different indices. And then you've also got a black and white dial. Have a guess and see which one I bought and which one I liked. Of course, I bought the one with the faux patina. Prices for this watch start at £112. I wouldn't expect you to pay any more for it unless you are wanting the Pagani Design big box. Why you would want that and pay slightly more, I have no idea. It's up to you, you mad people. But let's have a look at the specifications for this watch. So first of all, it is 42mm in diameter. It is 14 mils thick. You have sapphire crystal over the top of the dial. You've got 200 meters of water resistance. I almost said 20 meter 2 bar, but it's 20 bar, 200 meters of water resistance. And the movement is a Mingzhu. It is a DG5833A, which is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, GMT auto movements on the market at the moment. 24-hour indicator, stainless steel fixed bezel, screw down crown, and a bubble at the or a window, sorry, on the sapphire crystal at the 3 o'clock, where you can see the date complication, make this watch a little more appealing to a lot of people. Also, it does divert slightly from the original design. So the original design didn't have Mercedes hands, but this watch obviously does, because it's probably the easiest one that they have in the Pagani Design back catalogue. One thing to note about this watch is its 42mm diameter. When I had it, I sold it on because it did wear slightly bigger on my wrist, but that's because at the time I'd lost a bit of weight. I've gained that weight since then, and I'd imagine that it would probably sit quite nicely on my wrist now. But if you are okay with a 42mm case, that might make you feel a little bit slab-sided when you're wearing it. This watch does have a lot of bang for your buck. Next on the list is a watch that I recently reviewed on this channel. In fact, it is one that I had a paid review for. I guess you can call it a paid review if the watch is sent to me for free by the Mercure official store. And I liked it so much that I'm keeping it in my collection. And I think you guys should definitely consider it as well. It is the Merkur, or the Pierre Paulin skin diver, they call it, but it's more of a vintage style small seconds hand watch. This watch comes with a white or a salmon dial. Just get the salmon dial. Honestly, you will thank me later. It is by far the best of the two colorways. You can go for white if you want. I'm not your dad. I can tell you what I think you should get, but you get whatever you want. So more facts about this watch. So it has a small seconds hand, it has blue indices, it has 12, 3 and 9, and a 6 which is semi cut out to accommodate for the small seconds hand. But this watch itself has a lot of presence on the wrist. It is a 38mm case, it is stainless steel and brushed throughout, no screw down crown, it's 50 meters of water resistance, and yes, the glass at the front of it is mineral crystal, but it is a really nice piece of domed mineral crystal. And I think that if that was be the one thing that would put you off, I would consider you rethink that, because this watch really does offer a very nice piece of domed mineral crystal, and I don't often say that. The things that you need to know with this watch is that it is 12mm thick and it will slip under a cuff very nicely, and the bandwidth is 20mm. That is important because although the strap is really soft and really nice on wrist, it will fall apart pretty quickly. It is starting to fall apart on mine. Quick release on those straps means that you can switch it out for pretty much anything you want it to be. But this one is a very good choice for somebody who wants something a little different, a little more vintage. Next on the list, we are going to hop over to the Baltany official watches store, or the Baltany watches official store, and we're going to be having a look at the Baltany Dirty Dozen Homage watch, which is still my favourite Baltany watch of them all. This is a cracking little watch. It is solidly made. It has a lovely piece of domed sapphire crystal over the top, fantastic loom as well. But you want to know the rest of the specifications. First of all, it is powered by the Seagull ST1701, which is the classic sub-second vintage model that you get on these watches. So it's black dial, it's like a matte black dial, which is really nice. It is a 36mm case diameters and 18mm lug width. It is a little thick. It is 12.8mm thick, but a lot of the extra weight on that is taken up by the domed sapphire crystal. 100 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, and everything is sort of bead blasted on this watch. It is really competently done, and it is an absolute bargain, especially at the price. Now the price for this watch starts at £152.70, and that does go up depending on the more sort of the better strap that you get with this watch as well. So I think the most that you spend on this watch is £161.17. I personally bought the one with the leather strap, and I actually ditched that and bought it onto a different style strap because I wanted to have more of a vintage military style look on it as well. But this watch is super fun. It is legible, it is hardy, and it's one of those watches that you can really feel would just last for a pretty long time. Obviously Baltany have been making a lot of waves recently within AliExpress, and they have their own website as well, but I really suggest that you check them out. And if you do pick any watches up in the sale from Baltany, let me know your thoughts about them in the comments below, and I may try and get some more in for review. So next on the list, we are hopping over to the Addiesdive Global Watches store, and we're going to have a look at one of the first of two of the Addiesdive collection. So the first watch we're going to be having a look at is their Pilot's watch, which is homaging the IWC range of watches, one of their most basic models. I bought this watch back in 2020. I sold it on again. This watch though was a very nice and a cracking little watch. It just wasn't what I was looking for at the time, and I think I might buy it again, you know. A few important things to add to the aspects of this watch. First of all, it is an NH35 powered watch. It has 200 meters of water resistance, which for a pilot's watch is a little much, and it does make it a little thicker. However, IWC watches, if you've ever seen them, they are big boys, so I don't think it really matters too much. This watch is 39mm in diameter and has sapphire glass across the front of it. If any of you guys have bought an Addiesdive, I think they probably offer the best value for money watches potentially on the entirety of AliExpress, just because of some of the specs that they have on these watches. This watch had insane loom. It was absolutely immense for the money that you were paying. I did find the leather band a little stiff though, so if I had my time again, I would probably get it on one of the NATO straps, or I would get it on this sort of 5-link style engineer's bracelet, although it has a very basic clasp. The other specifications that you need to know on this watch are 39mm in diameter, Swiss C3 Superluminova. It has a NH35 movement and 200 meters of water resistance, as I mentioned to you before. This watch really does tick a lot of boxes, especially if you are looking for something that's potentially discreet but you want something that's long lasting. Prices for this watch start at £65 and they go all the way up to £80 depending on the store that you buy it from. I'm not going to recommend a specific store just because I can't remember which store I bought it from. It was either the Addiesdive Global Watches store or the Addiesdive Ali Global store. I'm not sure which one. I'll leave links to both of them below. This next watch is probably one of the best value for money divers that I've ever owned in my collection as well. And again, this was a watch that I bought in 2020 during the sale back then. And again, I sold it on before I restarted doing this channel. It is another NH35 powered watch. This time it is homaging the Captain Willard, the SP B185 Seiko model, and this watch is slightly bigger, but it does tick a hell of a lot of boxes. So I dredged this watch up from the Deep Sea Hunter store. Do you like what I did there? No? All right, I'll carry on. So I got this watch from the Deep Sea Hunter store. It does come in a number of different colorways. You can get it in blue, you can get it in black, and you can get it in green as well on some areas. I will leave links to the Deep Sea Hunter store where I bought this version from, and I'll also leave a link as well to the Addiesdive store as well, where you can get a couple of different colorways. But the Deep Sea Hunter store was the cheapest last time I had checked. I went for the black dial. I wouldn't recommend getting any of the other colors because they do look slightly dodgy. I did get it on the bracelet. The bracelet was okay. It is what it is. It was just a push-pull bracelet with a very basic clasp. If I had my time again, I'd probably want to go for it on a vintage style waffle strap, so it really does have the Capt and Willard look, which you can get on AliExpress as well. Other specifications for this watch is a 43.8mm in diameter, but really compact lug to lug as well, so it does sit very nicely on wrist. It is a Seiko NH35 powered watch with sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, a thickness of 13.15mm, and the bezel is ceramic as well. Now, I've had a couple of different versions of this watch since then. I've bought the Addiesdive and I've also bought the Steel Dive. I don't think it really matters which one you go for. It's just whichever one that you prefer the brand logo for. I think you can get sterile dial versions as well, and if you prefer that one, then I would suggest that you get that one. But again, it has a hell of a lot of bang for its buck, and it is a very, very good watch for the price. So next on this list is San Martin. Now, I have bought two San Martin watches in the past. I bought the Black Bay 58 version Homage that they had, and I also bought the vintage Submariner that they had. I ended up selling them both, and the reason why I did that is because I suddenly had the chance to buy the real Black Bay, and I had to sell off quite a few of my watches in order to justify that one purchase. But out of the two, I really preferred the retro 38mm Submariner style Homage watch. Looking at their listing, I can see why this has been one of San Martin's most requested or most ordered watches, and has been reviewed by a slew of watch reviewers as well on the on YouTube. So the 38mm makes this watch sit incredibly well on the wrist. It gives it a properly vintage feel, and you can sort of choose almost how you want this watch to look. So you can go through for the basic version which you had before, which is the black and gilt dial, which is fantastic. That's the one that I bought. But you've also got a sort of like a orange sunburst honey style dial, which I think is really nice. You've got an Explorer numerals dial, and you've also got a basic standard Submariner style dial with pencil hands, and those sort of hark back to different designs apart from the orange one, but go back to different designs that they had for Submariner at the time, from the 50s all the way up to the 60s or 70s. Prices on this one outside of the sale are £220. Again, in the sale it might be slightly lower. I'm not going to tell you which version to get because I like all of them. They have a good range of specs as well. They're either powered by the NH35, which is the original version that they had, or they've got it powered by the YN55, which is an Orient in-house movement, which is part of the Seiko group. So both of them are trusted and reliable movements. I can't remember if there's a ghost position on these watches or not. If you know, please leave it in the comments below. But otherwise, it has 200 meters of water resistance, 38mm case, 20mm bandwidth, although I wouldn't be swapping the bracelet because I think it's super comfortable on wrist. The model number for this one is the SN004-G as well, for anyone who wants to quickly search for them on AliExpress, and it has a thickness of 13mm, which for a diver is pretty good. The ceramic bezel also adds a sense of modernness. It's not a word. Modernness. No, I'm going to go with it anyway. Modernness to this watch. So usually on a retro watch you would have had a aluminium style bezel, but you got a ceramic bezel instead for this one. you know, it is what it is. I don't have any problems with it whatsoever. It's just down to personal preference. San Martin are well known on AliExpress for making probably, yes, the most expensive watches that you would want to buy on AliExpress, but probably the best made watches as well on AliExpress. So if you're only buying one watch in the sale and you want to spend a little bit of money, have a look through San Martin. Don't just have a look at this model, have a look at some of the other ones I haven't talked about in this video. They do offer some really good bang for your buck. Just be careful with how much you spend, because I get to a certain point where I think I may want to get a big brand instead. But that's just me personally, and I'm a bit weird, as we all know. Now, last of the watches that have graced the VW studio that I can remember, at least anyway, on this list, is the Pagani Design, and it is the last Pagani Design on this list today. It is the homage to the Speedy, or the Speedmaster. This is the Pagani Design Chronograph version of that watch with the Seiko VK64 movement. So I bought this watch on a punt last year, and you know, I was pleasantly surprised. At the time I bought the version 2, which wasn't quite up to scratch. They released the version 3, but I was still surprised nonetheless. So first of all, the Seiko VK64 series of movements are incredibly good value for money. It is a mecha quartz movement. If you don't know mecha quartz, I suggest you do a little bit of research on it. It really is a great alternative to a automatic chronograph watch that gives you that big sweeping motion, but without the price tag on it, and I think that is really good value for money as such. Now, this watch comes in a slew of different colorways. You've got a Tiffany blue with black subdials, you've got a sort of a grey, moon grey with black dials, you've got Tiffany blue all the way throughout with a stainless steel bezel, you've got the blue version, which is like a Snoopy version that they did, and you've got this black and gilt version. Guess which one I bought? The black and gilt version. And then you've got some more gaudier versions down the line as well, such as the green and gold version and the gold with the gold face and the black subdials. And then obviously you've still got your basic black and white dial as well, which I'd imagine is going to be the most popular of all of these. So if memory serves correctly, the bracelet itself wasn't a screw link bracelet, it was a push-pull link bracelet, but it was still incredibly comfortable on wrist. This watch itself has 100 meters of water resistance, a thickness of 13 millimeters, sapphire crystal, like a domed sapphire crystal across the top, which is again really good, and a 20 millimeter bandwidth and a dial diameter of 40 millimeters. They have a date matched they have a color matched date wheel at the 430 area, and you've got the 3 subdials as well, and it's, you know, sort of set out in exactly the same way you would expect its Speedmaster counterpart to be. This watch is currently tied with being one of the cheapest on this list. It's either this one or the Addiesdive IWC homage, which I went through earlier, but both of these watches are completely different from another, even though I guess they are both aviation inspired. Could you call a moonwatch aviation inspired? I'm going to call it aviation inspired. Give me hate in the comments below if I'm wrong or not. But again, Pagani Design does offer great bang for your buck. I've used that phrase so much today, bang for your buck, but that's what I really feel that these watches represent. Anyway, the watch itself is really well put together. Obviously, all of the credit for that one deserves to go to Omega and not to Pagani Design, but Pagani have done a good job in creating a good, faithful homage here. At least in my opinion, I think they have. So those are the 8 watches that I've had hands-on experience with so far, and those are the ones that I have had, I guess, some experience with or longer experience with, but either way, I've had all of those 8 watches on wrist. I've worn them for at least a week, if not in some cases months or even a year, and I've been able to form some pretty good opinions about those watches and where they come from. But here comes the 3 on this list that are essentially punts. So these are the watches that I have not a lot of experience with. I haven't picked up these watches personally, or I may not have a relationship with the store, but I'm either aware of the brand or I'm aware of some aspect of them, so I can recommend that watch with some amount of I guess, authority, if I have any. I don't really think I do have a lot of authority, if I'm honest with you. But I can recommend that, you know, you have a look at these watches at least anyway, and I'll probably try and pick some of these watches up if I can as well, and do some reviews on them later on. But enough waffle. Let's have a look at these last three on this list, and I'll give you some honest opinions on what I think about them. Now, the first watch on this list is a Cadisen. Now, I've actually owned a Cadisen watch, and it was the watch that has featured on a few different channels, including Jodie at Just One More Watch. I won't go into that watch itself because it hasn't made my list today. However, this watch is interesting to me, and this is another homage watch. This is a current homage to the Seamaster reissues, most notably in the Bond film Spectre, although this is obviously different. It's based on the later releases that came afterwards. Again, I've not made a lot of sense, have I? Doesn't matter, I'm going to jump into it. I think you can tell I start to lose my mind during these recordings, can't you? Okay, so this watch comes in 3 different colorways. The store that I recommend you go to have a look at this watch is the Cadison official store, because that's where I bought from before. However, there is a cheaper version of these watches on the Pagani Design Cadison retail store, which I will also leave links to below. So prices start at £80 with the store, and on the Cadison official store it is £90. It comes in 3 different colorways. You've got blue colorway, black, and then you've got a black dial with a sort of rose gold bronze style bezel. It's obviously PVD coated, it's not bronze, but it's meant to harp with that look. 2 of these watches will come with metal bracelets, and the other version of this watch, the one that is PVD coated, will come on a black silicone band. Now, what I'm not sure with on this listing is the diameter of the watch. So on the Cadison official store, on the title they've put a 38mm watch. However, on the specifications it says 38mm on there, but on the Pagani Design Cadison retail store, try and say that a million times, I can see a dial diameter of 42mm. So I'm not actually sure which is right and which is not right. So again, I think we'd have to do a little bit of investigating with that one. This watch is 200 meters of water resistance. I'm unsure of the movement of this watch. I think it is a Seiko NH35. However, if I'm wrong and if you know better, please leave that in the comments below. It has a date at the 4:30. It has loom on the watch as well. It's not particularly great loom, as I would imagine from the pictures, but you know, it's loom nonetheless. Sapphire crystal. It says on here that it's got a bandwidth of 18mm on the Cadison official store. I'm just going to go by that one now. And this watch, as I said before, comes in 3 different colorways. Yeah, not much else to really say about this watch. It looks interesting, it looks nice. It might be worth picking up to see if it's any good or any value for money, really. Next on this list is the Seagull 1963. Can you believe it? I've bought 2 or maybe 3 different watches now with the Seagull movements in, the ST1901, the Venus based movement, and I don't think I've actually owned one. Oh no, I have owned one. Oh, this list needs to be done again. Doesn't matter. You know what? I have owned one of these. It was ages ago and I've only just remembered now. So I had the 38mm with acrylic crystal, I believe. It's still going to go in the ones that I haven't had experience with because, quite frankly, I can't remember it. Can you imagine that? I've had so many watches I can't remember which ones I've had. Anyway, so this watch is 38 to 40mm depending on the options that you choose, and you can get it with either acrylic or sapphire crystal. The acrylic crystal, from memory, does have a nice doming effect on it. I'm not sure about the sapphire crystal, whether it has the same. All I can tell you is obviously sapphire is a more modern upgrade. I would still go for the 38mm if I had my time again. It's like Total Recall. I can't even remember my first time round. I would still go for that one if I had the chance to go through that one again. And I'd probably go for it, obviously, on the Zulu style NATO strap at or one of the quick release leather straps that they tend to have on it as well. Other specifications that you need to know about this watch is it has 5-bar water resistance or 50-meter water resistance, and it has a thickness of 13 millimeters. We are down to the last watch on this list, and the last watch today on this list for 11 of my choices for the 11/11 sale is another Pierre Paulin watch, which is from the Mercure official store, and it is a chronograph. Again, it has a Seagull ST1901. I think I quite like that movement. I think that's why I keep psychologically picking it. Plus, I quite like a lot of Patek Philippe's as well. And although I don't think I'll ever want to buy one or be able to afford one in that case, I still like the designs of them. So that's probably why I'm gravitating more to this one. Anyway, this is a silver dial version of, it's almost like a chronograph silver dial version of the watch that I currently own, which is the salmon dial. It does come in that version. You can get it on a with black on it as well. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one to go for. I'd probably go for the all silver one if it were me, but the black one does look good as well. And again, it has a very vintage aesthetic. Specifications for this watch is 50-meter water resistance or 5-bar, 38mm case diameter, thickness of 14mm, and a bandwidth of 18 millimeters. This watch currently retails at £250 to £270. So yes, it is quite a bit of money, but you do get sapphire crystal with this one as well, and Pierre Paulin with the Mercure store. They're doing a lot of good stuff at the moment, and I really like the designs of some of their watches. So it's up to you whether you'd want to shell out that much money for it. There's only, at the time of recording, there's only been 4 orders of this watch from the Mercure official store. However, I've bought from the Mercure store before. They have sent me a watch for review in good faith, and I'm quite happy to direct you to that site to sort of say, you know, if you were to order on there, what you see is definitely going to be what you get. So I would rest sure in the knowledge that you would be getting what you ask for, especially on the Mercure website. So that's everything. That's my picks for the 11/11 sale. But as you all know, I can never make my mind up. I am a stubborn little child, and I will never whittle my list down to whatever arbitrary number I can pick out. So instead of getting 11 picks for the 11/11 sale, I do have a bonus one for you, which then makes it 12 picks for the 11/11 sale. Yeah, it doesn't quite gel as well. I'm still going to call it 11 picks for the 11/11 sale because, you know, that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go back to the Mercure official store, and we're going to have a look at another chronograph. And guess what? It is another Seagull powered movement. The ST1901 has made a ton of appearances today, but I don't think that is without merit. I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. Put the name of this brand that they've got, their sub-brand, to the back of your head for a minute and just have a look at the designs. So this one is a retro men's watch, mechanical 38mm fashion timepiece. That is a mouthful. It retails for £213, £213, and I think I've seen one listing where it's £212, but with less options. This one comes in a number of different colorways. You've got red, blue, green, like a gold tiger's eye style, as well as a couple of others. The brand, though, is called FOD. Yeah, I got to be honest with you, I ain't sure about that name. However, I do like the design of it. I think the design is pretty good. It is definitely a racing vintage inspired chronograph with a little bit of personality about it. It's got the lovely splashes of colour that you can get, and I feel that that's actually pretty cool. I do like the look of this watch. It's only had 1 order so far on the Mercure official store. I will potentially buy this one and bring it in for review, and I'll let you know what I think about it. Other specifications that you need to know: it's 38mm. You've got acrylic crystal over the front of this watch, which again, I don't mind acrylic crystal at all. 18mm bandwidth and 3-bar water resistance, so no deep sea diving with this one, boys. So that's it. That's the official list today. What do you guys think of the choices that I've made? I know that I've missed out a ton of watches. I tried to whittle it down to 11 choices that I have had hands-on experience with personally, or I know the stores and I think they are pretty good stores. But have I missed any options that you think I should have put in there? Please leave that in the comments below. What do you think of my choices? Good, bad? Chris, stop talking about Venus chronograph Seagull movements and get on to something else as well. All much appreciated will be in the comments below. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and potentially sharing this video with all your chums as well when it comes to watch reviews. I try and post at least one video a week. I've been struggling over the last couple of weeks because I have just started a new job, and I also am in the middle of doing an MBA and I have lots of assignments due. So if I can't do 2 a week, I will at least do 1 a week anyway. But guys, take care of yourself. Remember, affiliate links in the descriptions below. Please click on those links and, you know, buy the watches that you want to buy, and, you know, get some nice commissions in for the VW pennies purse so that I can continue to do stuff like this and to create content for you. But guys, take care, and I will see you all in a future video.